This show is heaven's boldest statement that it's not about who's the most connected, it's about who's most called. This is God Made Millionaire TV with T.C. Bradley, where we highlight the risk takers and the resilient, the ones who were counted out by man, but handpicked by God, those who made bold moves, those who made God moves, and they overcame the odds to activate their God-given dream. Let's crack open the God-Made Millionaire TV bank vault and activate some God-given dreams.
Today we welcome a visionary who's redefining what it means to lead with purpose. Liza Garcia. She's a founding partner of Now Global Media and the powerhouse behind the Imprint CEO Book Publishing, having guided, listen to this, over 200 authors and published more than 80 titles across genres ranging from business and leadership to faith and entrepreneurship. A soon-to-be 7-time author herself, her first book toured Barnes & Noble's coast to coast, and her latest kicks off an 11-month national signing tour for Barnes & Noble. A former tech CEO and IBM engineer from the Pacific Northwest, she's now a mentor and an advisor to tech startups throughout Tampa Bay Wave, helping the next generation of innovators rise. She's a bold voice for faith-driven entrepreneurship. Liza Garcia, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness, thank you, TC. I'm so happy to be here.
Can you believe that introduction?
Don't believe what you always say, just kidding.
I am telling you what an introduction that was. 7-time author,
Yes.
not a 6-time author, 7-time author.
7-time.
I want to talk about that book you've got coming out there. It's a thunder alert on this show, but first of all, I just want to say I am thrilled that you agreed to come on my show. I've been after you for a long time to come on the show. Thank you for finally agreeing to come on the show today.
Well, it's my pleasure for sure. And I am very blessed that I've known you for a long time now. I don't want to count up the years, but we've known each other for a long time.
We have.
And you blessed us by speaking at our Christian professional group. And it was standing room only, and everyone bought your books. I read your 2 books there. It was a great appearance years and years ago.
Yes, you're very active in the community, and I so honor that in you. Before we dive into this, so I want you to give a shout out to your family, if you don't mind. We're on national television here, but I want you to give some love out and some honor to some important people in your life, if you don't mind.
Sure, shout out, right? So shout out to my family in Salt Lake City, and actually my high school reunion is coming up in Salt Lake next month, so shout out to my classmates there. And then just my new home in Tampa Bay, Florida, all my friends and family, my professional network. So shout out.
So you started out as a tech in the tech space, as an IBM engineer. How long have you been in book publishing, and how did you make that transition from being a tech engineer at IBM to book publishing?
Right.
That's quite a
seems
jump.
Like, That's right. It seems like, 2 different industries. But it is curious how our life path goes right and left and never exactly what you think it's going to be in a straight line. But basically, I was in tech from college and IBM. And when I moved to Tampa, I met a gal that had a dream of starting a book publishing company. And at the time, I was in a marketing program that said, you better write your business brand book. And this is 11 years ago, 12 years ago. And they said, if you don't write your business brand book, you are going to be left behind. And that was that many years ago. So I did write it. It's called Never Drink Coffee During a Business Meeting. And it was my journey as a tech CEO. It's still available, of course, and that was book number 1. But in the relationship of knowing her is how I started to understand that God was pushing me this way to leave tech and to start working as a partner in the book publishing company. Now 9 years, actually September is our 9th year.
Wow, 9 years in the industry.
Yeah.
A lot of changes in the book publishing space in that 9 years. What do you see as an expert in that industry? What do you see as the trends? What should authors know about the industry, and what have you learned
Oh my gosh.
during these 9 years? That's a big question, right?
It's a big question because, as you know what you might have learned last quarter is now upside down and different the next quarter. So it is such a dynamic industry for sure. When I started in publishing, I would say things like it's very kludgy. There aren't any standards. There aren't industry standards. I mean, it's a very open kind of industry. You've got self-publishing people, you have traditional publishing, and then you have hybrid. And really, for all intents and purposes, there's really only, four of the big publishers that are really, quote, traditional. But even within that, they've changed a lot. So as far as the trends, the great trends are that your book should be in every format and mainly audio, right? Audio is still leading the
Really?
charge as far as being the most, the fastest, the most rapidly growing segment, still audio. So we do something called If Books Could Talk, and we help folks with their audiobook. But I think the real fundamental we've learned over the years is your book should be in every format. It should be on sale in every place books are sold, right?
Right.
And it should just be very easy for people to buy the book, and that's because they just they know the title of your book and they go from there. I mean, you really need to make it easy.
It's very interesting you bring this up, right? Because my wife, Vicky, she has an iPad. And she's an avid reader,
Yep.
and she reads via Kindle.
Kindle, yep.
Now, me, I will buy it on Kindle first to see if I like it.
Okay.
And then, if I like it, then I'm going to get the paperback because I like to
Yeah.
highlight it up and
Right.
mark it up, my books. And
Right.
and then you've got the more people that, like you've touched on something here with the audiobooks.
Yeah.
There are so many people
That will only listen to it
that
on
will
audio.
only listen to
Yeah.
audiobooks.
No, I have all those too. I have a Kindle reader.
Right.
I call it a purist when we want to, especially hardcover books, hard case books. We want to hold the book. We want to turn the page. My daughters, they're definitely ebooks, Nooks. She told me something like there's an app or something they use that really makes it feel like it's really turning a page more than the normal way. So,
Really?
yeah. So it is just this idea that we all have our own, preference. But the bottom line is we want to read what we want to read, and we want it to be amazing. We want it to change our lives, which books definitely can.
Yeah, and just publishing in one format is very short-sighted, wouldn't you agree?
I agree. We do hardcover, paperback, and hardcover has only been the last few years that it's a standard, but now it's a standard, right? Hardcover, softcover, ebook, Kindle, Nook, and then audiobook.
Wow,
Every
across
format.
all the platforms.
It's it. Yeah,
I love
for
it.
sure.
Listen, I know there's significance with the name of your business, Now Global, with the imprint of CEO Book Publishing. Can you give us some insights on that, please?
I can. And the great God story is this is God's company, and meaning that when we were trying to find out the name for this company, and again, this was with the co-founder that I started, it took us forever to figure out the name. And I had just come up from my tech company for 18 years. So I thought, why can't I figure out how to name a company? It should be very easy. We were struggling. Finally, we decided, let's name it the Now, and it was actually Now Press Agency. And we said, let's capitalize the Now because it's kind of like things now. We publish faster, we do promotion and all that. And this is, 11, 12 years ago now, or 9 years, 10 years ago now. And right after we named it Now Press Agency, my business partner texted me, not our will. And we know that's why we named it that. So God named the company. He's been our CEO. And so even though we went through a branding change with CEO Book Publishing, it's still the Now company. It's still him. So that's why we do Now Global.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel that writing a book is a calling from God? Do you believe that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I'm not going to say that's for every person has been
Right.
called to that, but I can't tell you how many people have said, God told me to write this book. Or I know in my spirit I'm supposed to tell this tale. I'm supposed to share what I've gone through to help others, for sure.
I believe that as well.
Yeah.
And I believe that because for a book to be good, there's a price to be paid when you write a book, and it's not just a financial price to publish a book. There's a price to be paid where oftentimes authors have got to go to places that they don't want to go to sometimes, and very difficult challenges. Like the first book I published, My God Says When, that talked about my sudden cardiac arrest. I tell you, Liza, It was tear drenched. Every page that I wrote had tears on it because it took me back to that time, a defining moment in my life where I died in that ambulance for 2 minutes before God raised me up and
Yeah.
gave me life.
Well, yeah.
So I believe it's a calling. Can you
Yeah.
touch on that? Because you
Yeah.
deal with this, with your clients, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, many publishers will say to clients that it is a therapeutic process that they will go through as
Really?
they write the book. And I've had definitely clients that said, you know what, that particular chapter, in fact, I'm just thinking of one that we just released a couple months ago that said, I had to really have a weekend when I finished this particular chapter. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And some of authors have even told us that they thought they had moved through something, but it wasn't until they had to write about it that they really had to move through it, so to speak. So, the most important thing is to make sure that you're writing about what you know and what you've lived through and what you've experienced. And when you do that, then you have to look at the good and the bad of what you've gone through. But it's a tremendous effort. And I'm glad you said not even talking about the financial
Right.
investment, but energy and mental strength and physical strength and just a commitment to go ahead and be
Well,
authentic.
you've got to go to places that
Yeah.
maybe you don't want to go to, and it's very challenging. I found it to be very challenging, and I just think there's such a call if it's going to be good, right? If
Yep.
it's not just information, there's transformation in a book. What's your opinion on ghostwriters? You
So
know, what
that's funny.
seriously, what's your opinion on that? Because that's an easy way out to get a book.
But
You know,
it can be the wrong way. So it's funny you say that because for the
right?
first few years of this company, I would never even use that word ghostwriting. We
Okay,
didn't do ghostwriting. I was very adamant about it. And I was biased because I'd met a ghostwriter. I'd met a few, but I met one in particular that I heard the two books that she had read, excerpts that she had written, and they sounded both the same. And so it wasn't what we know to do, which is to make sure we're editing or keeping the voice of the author. So I had a bias about it. And so then I noticed though there were authors and clients that needed our help. They weren't writers, they weren't content editors.
right,
So
right.
they really needed our help. And we used to use the term heavy content editing. So we do help. Our editors, our most skilled, are great writers. So we help that, but we are never going to make up content whatsoever. It is always has to be the authentic content of the client. So it can't be a ghostwriter's content in their book,
Because
so to speak.
otherwise, what happens is you have a book in the ghostwriter's voice and
Yeah,
not the author's voice.
exactly. And even the ghostwriter's experience, because they didn't have an experience with the author. It can't be inauthentic.
So you've developed a system where you take the best of ghostwriting
Yes.
and the best of that client experience and merge them
Yes.
to create a positive outcome of a book in that author's voice.
Well, it's about editing. It's about editors, like
You're
you
right.
said. It's about an amazing editor that knows how to make it so that you keep on wanting to turn the page. It's about amazing editing that makes you finish the book. So you say, I just finished this book. You have to read it. That's the difference between a great book or an okay book, is really the level of the editor. And our best editors are great writers and great
Right.
editors. And those are two different skills, really.
Why do you believe, because you're on record as stating that now's the most critical time in our history to uh, publish a book?
Mhm.
So why don't you take a moment and explain to our audience why you feel that so strongly?
I do feel it strongly, and it's for a few reasons, but I'll just mention the main reason. And the main reason is that in our day right now of content, and what's out there in the world, whether we understand it or know it or even read it ourselves, your content about who you are, what you do, what you believe in is already out for people to see. And so if you don't write a book or if you don't write your own content, you don't publish your own content, podcasts, other formats, then you're letting the world put your content out.
Right.
And it doesn't take much if you're a business owner to put an ebook out, to put the right content out there, and it doesn't take much to appear on a podcast or a TV show like I'm on right now, where you talk about what you believe, who you are, and set your own content.
A defining moment in my life, and I've never shared this with you, but I had a favorite author, and I love this woman's book. I loved it. I wore it out. It had suntan lotion on it, right? Because I take it
so
outside
much.
by the pool and I read it and reread it again. And she released another book not too long after that. And Liza, it was god awful. It
Oh,
was terrible. She went
shoot.
off of this track in such a dramatic fashion away from what was in the previous book. And it was goofy. I have to tell you, it was goofy than a June bug. And the realization came to me that, you know what? You can be goofy as a June bug and still publish a book. And I think one of the biggest challenges for people publishing a book or activating a God-given dream is they got the little fat man up on their shoulder going, whispering, going, who are you to write a book? Who are you to publish a book?
Yeah.
Your voice, who's going to listen to your voice?
Right.
Can you
What
address
do you
that?
have? Yeah, I mean, what do you have special to say?
Right.
Or this has already been written about. I mean, we hear all of those things.
Talk about it.
And no, it has to do with the lack of confidence, right? And like you said, it has to do with that that voice that you're not good enough. That's not from God.
Right.
If you can recognize that that's not a voice that's from God. God
Speak
doesn't
to
say,
those people at
well,
home.
God doesn't say, God doesn't talk that way. You're not good enough. Who are you to think you are good enough? That's not, if you know the character of God, that's not him in any way, shape, or form. So as you hear that, you put it aside, say, I'm not listening to you. And just to trust that God has made us all amazing and has made us amazingly unique. So where there might be many books about a certain subject, but they're not from your perspective. They're not what you've gone through, and they're not from how you see what the message should be. And many times the message is given from the Holy Spirit to publish this message. And so you need to go ahead and fight the fears and fight the lack of confidence and publish and write what you should write. And, the other thing I would like to say on this subject is, don't keep waiting for the time to be right, because it's never right, right? Just like you say, when's a good time to have a baby? There's no right time for that. And unfortunately, I think it's about 5. I probably stopped counting. I've had at least 5 clients over the years that started a book and then unexpectedly passed away. And this was not even COVID. Not one of them were COVID. So this is before that. And, your heart, you feel bad because they never finished, never finished what they started and waited too long.
Wow. We're going to take a brief time out, then we're going to come back and wrap things up with you. Can't wait to come back. We'll be right back after this short time out.
At CEO Book Publishing, we don't just publish books. We build platforms of influence. We understand that a powerful book begins with expert writing, flawless editing, and unshakable promotion strategy. But what truly sets us apart? Promotion, visibility, authority. Our team doesn't stop at publication. We elevate authors. Media features, podcast bookings, bestseller strategy, and brand amplification. We do it all. If you're ready to publish a book that turns heads, opens doors, and positions you as the authority, don't settle for average. Choose the publisher that produces impact. Choose CEO Book Publishing.
All right, we're back on set here with Liza Marie Garcia. And we're talking about a lot of different topics, activating a God-given dream through book publishing. But you know what? You've got some pretty big things in the works that I want you to talk about. Can you tell us about your new TV show with the National Barnes & Noble's author event for the next 11 months?
Right. So I was just looking at starting to book more tickets on this 11-month tour. We'll start there for a moment and then go backwards. But so starting in September 18th is the release of my book, Tell Them of My Greatness. That's a title that God gave me, told me to write the book, and he said,
wait a minute, how did he give you that title and not give me that title?
What? God Made Millionaire. It's a great title.
Oh my gosh, I love the title of that book.
Well, can I tell the story?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how it came to be, and when I think it's 2019, I was walking my dog, and I happened to work at home that day, and I was walking the dog, and how the people on the yard were there, trimming the hedges and such. And so I was on my way back, and I was almost done with the dog and to go back to work. And I was just standing at the hedge, and I was saying to God, wow, I was thinking about the story with Abraham when he is seeing the burning bush and he's talking with God. And I was saying to him in my spirit, wow, I wonder what Abraham felt like that when he saw it and he was talking to you, but nothing was burning and just around him. And I was just saying that's just how incredible would Abraham feel and how great you are. And he said, tell them of my greatness. And he planted that in me to write a book about his greatness. And at the time, I was heavily in the Old Testament in my reading. And so I knew that what he wanted me to do is take what I've been learning with the difference in Old Testament and the different stories. And not everyone knows all the stories of the Old Testament. It's not as popular, maybe you say, as the New Testament, right? So I knew that that's what the book was supposed to be. And so the book is, I take a story from the Old Testament, and then I take a professional case that kind of matches that story, and then a corporate case that shows people about that story. And then sometimes I'll put a company story, my own company, in there in the chapters, and then the full verse. So it's in only the way God can put the book together, he put the book together.
This ain't no dinky donkey book, I would tell you right now. That's powerful.
Thank you. Well,
that is, I'm excited for this book to come out.
Well, it's God in the C-suite is the tagline, and then divine influence drives success. And so for us believers, we know that when we ask him, I mean, he just wants us to ask him. You know, when we ask him for help, he helps us in ways that we don't even imagine he's going to help us. And so it is that idea that as a Christian professional, we understand that his influence absolutely drives success, absolutely makes us successful because of him.
Yeah, amen, amen. Well, you talked a little bit about the book, and I want to deep dive a little bit further into that, but I don't want to let you off the hook. What about the television
the TV show? So yes, so we are starting a television show. Right now the plan is to tape in October, and the name of the show is If Books Could Talk. And basically it's for Christian book authors to come on and talk about their book. Now, we also hope that they have an audio book, like we said, in the book in all formats. We also would help them with that. But it's, let's talk about your book. Really dig in and talk about what is the purpose, what is the main message that you try to convey in your book. And hopefully you have a book that focuses on that main message. But sometimes people lose their way a little bit in a book, right? And so this show will help authors really say, this book is about, and then they talk about their purpose.
Well, there's not a lot of television platforms out here that for faith-based authors, let alone authors, let alone faith-based authors. So I salute you for that. That's very, very exciting.
Thank you. I'm excited for it. Thank you.
How did you come up with the title of the show, the name of the show?
Well, I will tell you, it was my second chosen title, and then when my first one was already taken by a big publisher all over the place, I'm like, of course, I thought I was being original, right?
Yeah, right.
So it was my second one, but it was really that, as I said, the fastest growing segment is audiobooks right now. So it really was that, make sure your book is talking. And so it was just about that as I was trying to figure out what the show should be called, is If Books Could Talk. Tell me what they would say.
Wow. I'm excited about that,
Thank
too.
You. Well, to have you on, you've got many books that can talk. And all your books talk to the Spirit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tell me about your book. Who should read that book?
Yes. I am a Christian professional. I lead a group called Faith Driven Entrepreneurs. I'm a business person, true and true. I'm a more than 25-year now employer. I worked in corporate America, big enterprise-sized business clients to the small ones that I have now. So I have a friend, I like to take her tagline, and she says, business is my sport. It is. So this book is for faith-based entrepreneurs, founders, C-suites, and even maybe people that aren't so sure about the power of God. I want them to know that we have a living, working, powerful God that is resident and right here, and it is part of our lives every day.
Can you address for the person in the audience right now that has a little gray up in their hair, they're in that older season of their life, I believe God's calling that generation as well to activate their God-given dreams and write their book.
100%. And, it's one of the other main types of genres that we focus on is a legacy book, is a memoir. And we just published one recently. But the the unfortunate thing, or you could say fortunate, is that like my mom and dad's age group, they didn't have a Facebook. They do maybe now, but they didn't have a social media account that chronicled their whole life, right? So if people don't have a legacy book or a memoir book, they're the memories of what they did, and they've done amazing things, but maybe one person knows, a couple of their kids know, or, a grandkid might know a little bit of it. So when you write or invest a time in a legacy or memoir book, it's just an amazing, outstanding treasure, and it's there for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? Because it's published in print. So we have had clients over the years that have had us write a book for their parents. We've had clients that said, I want you to help us with a book, but we're not going to publish it. We're just going to give it to our family. We've had a few clients that we've done that for. But, again, it's that, are you going to set your content straight, or are you going to let someone else? Or are you going to let your legacy die, or are you going to go ahead and, document it?
Wow. Wow. Take us, and we're almost out of time. I can't believe this. You're going to have to come back and see me after you get back from this worldwide book tour that you're doing. But take me into a defining moment in your life where everything changed.
Well, it really has to do with this company. This company, now Global, and Now Publishing was the company before. So I was probably not quite 2 years in, and the first partner that started it with me had resigned after 10 months because it was too hard. She'd never been an entrepreneur and didn't understand what that looked like. We had bought a magazine. I'd partnered up with a second partner. And so it was under 2 years, and the second partner said, I hate to tell you, but I'm moving to Uruguay with my husband, so I have to quit. So here I have a magazine, I've got the company, I have now gone through I've gone through a savings account, I've gone through what I had. I took a loan and went through a savings account because I was the bank for the company. It was bootstrapped by me. So, and I have 2 young daughters that are probably 4th or 5th grade, and also divorced, unfortunately. So I'm the income for the company and for my family. And I remember at this time, I was heading to a women's networking group. And I was there a little bit early, and and people were kind of milling in. And I remember thinking and looking and just thinking to myself, geez, what's the common denominator here? My partners are dropping like flies. And I was thinking negative, and normally that's not who I am. And I was just there, and I was thinking I should just go get a job. I can get a 6-digit tech job and all that. And I heard God's voice for the first time. And God's voice for the very first time was, if you don't, as I was looking at the women there, if you don't publish their stories, who will?
Wow.
100% that. And from that day forward, until he says, I heard you talking a little earlier, until he says, don't publish books anymore, I will continue to do it. And he still brings me clients that I feel very grateful that I'm telling their story. And he's our CEO, and never looked back yet.
Well, to do it at the level that you're doing it at, that's a big sacrifice on your part to put all these pieces together. And, to be at the highest level that you're at, I mean, there's a sacrifice there. Yeah. So I can see why you say to the Lord, hey, it's okay if you want to take it back now.
Like you said, you forecast and you're like, okay, God, do you still want me to keep doing this? And he still says yes, and he blesses me.
Listen, we're out of time. Can you believe that? At this point, we're out of time. I'm going to drop a link down below so you can connect with this powerful, powerhouse woman of God. You've got to promise me to come back after you publish that book, and I'm excited to hear about the book tour as well. Will you promise to do that for me?
I promise, and I appreciate it, and I love you. I think
Thank
you're
you
awesome.
so much for coming.
Thank you.